It was the deadliest human smuggling tragedy to ever take place on U.S. soil. In this News 4 Web exclusive, we'll walk you through how that operation unfolded, where it went wrong, and who's being held accountable. This is the Quintana 53.
Deceased individuals inside.
Got approximately 20 plus victims.
We have processed approximately 46 bodies.
We are dealing with a horrific human tragedy.
The patients that we saw were hot to the touch, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, no signs of water.
As that death toll continues to climb, there are so many unanswered questions for the families who lost their loved ones.
There are now 50 confirmed victims found in a tractor trailer behind me here on Quintana Road last night.
None of these individuals signed up to be in the back of a tractor trailer trapped. They're individuals that transported them from a stash house, probably in Laredo or somewhere along the border, into the tractor trailer. They're the individuals that crossed them through the river.
It was a refrigerated tractor trailer, but there was no visible working AC unit on that rig.
It's like an oven, you know, in a vehicle. Folks from your respiratory department, your physicians, nurses, it's all hands on deck. Everything slows down, circulation kind of just goes to the vital organs in the body. There is a moment of panic to confusion. As the heat rises, the organs start suffering. Your kidneys want to stop, functioning. And the kidney is the one that produces urine. So you stop, producing urine, you can't pee, and everything just basically shuts down. It's confusing to them. They suffer. It's a lot of suffering.
We hope that those responsible for putting these people in such humane conditions are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
President Biden was warned in advance that reduced border enforcement would lead to dire consequences. And we have seen those dire consequences. One is record number of people coming across the border illegally.
I'm not only angry about what occurred yesterday, but my heart also mourns for the families who have lost their loved ones. His words were also a complete contradiction to state that this tragedy was due to open border policies. If there was such a policy as open borders, we wouldn't have had over 50 human lives trying to enter this country the way they did.
We're going to deploy strike teams of DPS special agents, conduct surveillance, and look for these cloned vehicles, stolen vehicles that are staged along the highways used to smuggle people, further north, and also identify stash houses, which is very important.
Well, clearly, Congress's inability to reform our immigration system is causing or is manifesting in a lot of ways that are simply tragic. And by and large, migration in through our community has increased over the years. It's not specific to one particular administration, but it is just a sad irony and a sad truth that while we have millions of jobs, thousands in our own community that are unfilled because just not enough workers, we can't figure out a way in this country to put people who want to go to work. And keep in mind, most of the food that people have on their tables is produced, picked, harvested by folks who are coming here to do that kind of work. And so, the loss of life is tragic, it's unnecessary, and it's a product of inaction within the federal government over decades.
This is horrific. We should all be frustrated. We should all be outraged. When are we going to take our outrage to Congress, to Secretary Marcus and the Biden administration to say, stop your open border policies?
If we had an open border where everybody was just welcomed in, why would these people have to get in the back of a tractor trailer when it's 120 degrees inside and risk their lives to be able to come into the United States? Congress has to finally pass comprehensive immigration reform to make sure that there's a safe and orderly way for people to both apply for asylum or to try to migrate to the United States if that's what they're trying to do.
Enough is enough. Every congressional member should be outraged and yelling from the steps of the Capitol.
This is what it looks like when government just doesn't do enough, or when we do the wrong thing. I'd love to see more involvement from DC on this topic, because people are dying right here on my county streets, and it's a frustrating thing.
New ways of relating with one another, respecting the human person. And for that, we include our leaders of our states and country to work for a comprehensive immigration reform. That in over 40 years, nothing substantial has been done, but is urgent. And we pray that in God's mercy something will happen.
6 people have been arrested in this case so far. Homer Samarano Jr., the alleged truck driver, and Christian Martinez, the alleged mastermind. In the last few weeks, 4 more men were also taken into custody. Officials say they were part of the recruitment and trafficking process. Documents say they knew the trailer did not have air conditioning and packed migrants in anyway. They all face a maximum of life in prison.
I brought my family over here, and that's what hurts me the most. It could have been my family in that truck. In the beginning, it was worth it. But nowadays, the United States is not what I thought it was meant for me. It's a corporation. It's a work machine.
This is the 3rd or the 4th trailer that we have experienced. Very different situations to help the survivors whenever they are able to leave the hospital, as well as the families if they come from their countries, or the families of the people who are deceased, to provide them with housing, food, any emergency situations that they may have.
It's hard for me to imagine any human being treating another human being like cattle.
We're in support. Our consul has been there since yesterday. There are also immigration officials from Mexico, and we will be attentive to support the families of the victims, the transfer of the bodies, and of course carry out the investigation in what corresponds to us. Because these unfortunate events that, of course, have to do with the situation of poverty, of despair, of Central American brothers, of Mexicans, happen because there is also human trafficking and lack of controls. In this case, on the border of Mexico or the United States, and in the United States.
But one says, I'm going to go and look for a better life. And you end up finding death. You are not looking for something else but death. Because what else did she want? But one wants something different. That's life. She sought death because there is nothing else.
That is a way that they can begin to cope with the grief that they're feeling, or trigger of trauma that they suffered when they came to the States.
People come out here to follow the American dream. Sometimes they don't get to get that American dream.
We have people coming in from other countries to see where their loved one took their last breaths, literally. And so we are very sensitive to that.
My husband's from Mexico, and I have stepkids that are from Mexico. So this was a very personal cause to me, deeply.
They want to feel like that they can show that they're proud of their country, but they're also proud of being in America. And the way that we can do it, on 4th of July weekend, we have seen hundreds and hundreds of people come. And it seems like it's just not enough. They need to feel like we're united.
I just want to bring awareness and show my respects to their families, to the whole Mexican, Honduras, all Latinos in general.
It's 4th of July, but there's nothing to celebrate, in my opinion. I'm in mourning, and so is my community. People come to our great nation to find freedom, to find opportunity for themselves and their children, their families.
Independence means solidarity also. Independence means freedom. So praying the rosary means to raise awareness about it, about these values that we need to remember.